Okay, those were not easy to get off. I think the best recommendation is to get 2 pair of pliers on it. Twist 1 pliers with each hand so you don't rip the hose up, and then you can get enough combined force to break it loose, and then twist and pull and it comes off. So I think I'm finally done on the top side of the engine. I got to get a couple connectors from the bottom now. Okay, under the car I found this handy drain plug right below the water pump. So I'm getting more coolant out of the engine block now. Here's what that drain plug looks like. Got him out. There's a, you can't see it on here, but there's an O-ring on the end of this, or not on the end, but on this skinny piece, there's an O-ring that seals it off. And I also took out the front engine mount while I was waiting for that to drain. Those 2 bolts are easily accessible from the bottom, and you can get that top one from the bottom too. It might be easier from the top than the cross bolt. This has got some adjustment in here, so if you're really worried about it, you can might want to mark how the engine was sitting in the bracket on the frame. Okay, I got the rear center mount out, bolts onto the transmission. All the bolts are the same length, and the bolts for the front engine mount are also the same length, but different than the rear. Now I can see up in here much better, and there's a clip on that bracket, kind of center screen there, that I have to release to keep the wiring harness in the car when I pull this mess out. I think that might be the last thing finally. Okay, that clip is out, and I push the wiring harness to the back, and you can see that without the front and rear engine mounts, the engine does move in here a little bit. So apparently those mounts are needed. Alright, time to try to take it out. I'm going to try to go out from the top. The air conditioning, with the compressor loose, I can move that top line enough that I think I might be able to get the engine out. It's not for sure, but I'm going to give it a shot. Okay, I took off the engine mount nuts here. I loosened all these a turn or two. Loosened all the ones on the other side there for the transmission mount. And I've got the engine hoist in here ready to go. I'm going to try to tip the engine enough, but I'm starting to think this won't work because I don't think the hoist is going to be able to lift it high enough unless I can tip it, get it up in the air, and then level it again to get it over the front of the car. Anyway, we'll give it a shot. So far it's not too bad. Be really careful not to lift up on this air conditioning line. It's not under any pressure here yet. I don't think I'd recommend doing it this way. It's pretty tight getting it out of there. I broke the snap that held this line to the bracket here because I just could not get the snap out, and it finally just broke, and all the wiggling trying to get it free so the pipe wouldn't hang up. I just hope that I can clear the front of the car. I'm going to be in real trouble here. I had to loosen this brake master cylinder reservoir, but I've still got slack here, so I'm not pulling on that. I've got it underneath the starter mounting area there, where it's really close. Is you hit the oil pan here, just as this exhaust manifold stud is clearing. But it really wasn't too bad. I might put it back in this way, but I think I'll take out this stud and put it in after the engine clears that area, just to make it easier. Okay, I'm clear. I didn't even have to level the engine, and it's going to make it over the front of the car. So it actually wasn't horrible. It'd probably be a lot easier to take the subframe off. I'm not sure how I'm going to put it back in if I do this the way it came out, or if I take the subframe off. I have to think about it. But the engine's out. Okay, now that the engine's out, easier to identify a lot of this stuff. So this is the backup light switch, manual transmission, of course, clip for that cable. This is the clip that holds the downstream oxygen sensor connector, and here's the upstream oxygen sensor held in this clip. The E12 bolt that holds the shift linkage, and the rubber boss-like thing that also holds it. I think this is probably the speed sensor on the transmission, probably on the output drive shaft there. The two heater hoses, the engine coolant temperature sensor. Here's the fuel line I had to disconnect. What else? Part of the evap system, I believe. Here's the clutch hydraulic line. The knock sensor I didn't have to disconnect. Clips in there. The clip for the air conditioning went in here, and I think I broke it, so I have to figure out what to do for that. Another clip for the wiring harness. What else? This is the line to the fuel injectors. Throttle body, throttle position sensor, idle air control valve. And so I'm thinking that this is the, where is it? This is the crankshaft position sensor and oil pressure. The hose barb for the manifold for the vacuum assist on the brakes. 3 engine or transmission mount bolts. This goes to the reservoir radiator. Water pump. Here's the drain bolt. I already drained it from the bottom. Tensioner. I think that's about it.